Foot reveal at 1,000 subs. Before y'all go, oh my god, another commentary video? There's just a lot to talk about recently. This was originally just going to be like a lighthearted video of the new Dredge skin, but after my last couple streams, I want to talk about the state of Killer right now. There's absolutely no debate that solo queue did need a buff, so don't think I'm just here to complain for fun. But with the sudden addition of gen progress and recovery progress and who's in chase regardless of if it's a stealth killer or not, it's a lot of intel. I have a whole video talking about this, so if you want to go look at that, it's on the screen right now. But I specifically want to talk about the state that Killer is in because of that change. I'll make my obligatory statement. I play a ton of Killer and a ton of Survivor. Sometimes I play more Survivor, sometimes I play more Killer. With this last week of this Survivor HUD, I have almost completely stopped enjoying Killer. Minus Dredge in the one build I use on him, I have not had fun playing Killer recently. DBD was never supposed to be this hyper competitive game, but with these last couple updates, it's starting to feel like it is. For example, Survivor efficiency is at an all-time high. Solo queue now has the intel that Swiffing has. Some people are making debates that it's not the same because we're not in a Discord call. Realistically, you have all the information you need to know exactly what's happening on all 4 of the survivors at all times. Now, does that mean sometimes you just see your dumbass teammates not doing anything in a corner? Yes, that's correct. However, more often than not, this update has aggressively buffed Survivor as a whole. And that's fine. Solo queue and Swiffing should not have been as far apart as they were in terms of difficulty. But that leaves an entire role now as the weakest point in this game, that role being Killer. I actually got a ton of really helpful comments on my last video where I asked for input, and y'all were saying how the reason they buffed it so aggressively is so Swiffing and solo queue's in the same place, and when they're in the same place, you can then buff Killer and have a balanced game. If you were to buff Killer before they did that, the game would not be balanced. Solo queue would actually be in a worse spot. So I totally get it. I understand why they did this. But Killer in its current state right now, in this very moment, is abysmal. I've played probably 10 hours since the HUD change, and I have noticed a harsh difference. First of all, Killer incentive is always 100%. Why? Because nobody wants to play Killer. Secondly, matchmaking is fucked. Why? Because no one wants to play Killer. I had one game where I was playing against a solo queue kid with 84 hours in the game, and then my next game, which was this one, was a full stack Swift with 2 of the people having 5,000 hours. So it's pretty much just a 50-50 chance of whether you're going to roll your team or get rolled by your team. It's never a close game. Again, I'm playing Dredge in this, so it's not really a fair gameplay to watch while I'm talking about this because I have most of my time on Dredge. I tried nearly every killer this week to see if maybe it's my MMR on a killer that's making me get gen rushed out. I was at 2 gens in 4 minutes on a game yesterday as Nemesis. I don't think I've ever played Nemesis in my spare time besides when I first bought him. I have a total of probably 2-3 hours on Nemesis, and I was just getting gen rushed out of every single game. But it's not because of MMR, it's because efficiency is the highest it's ever been. When I say efficiency, I mean a random solo queue can see that no one's on a gen and hop on a gen. Now that we can see gen progress, people can counter 3 gens that way if they know where their teammates are. And don't get me wrong, I don't like 3 gens as Survivor or Killer. It's just patrolling at that point, it's super boring. So I'm fine with 3 gens being worked through. My problem is tunneling is going to go from a toxic mechanic to something that almost needs to be done strategically to have the game balanced. And before I get some like, oh, skill issue comments, I am not promoting tunneling or camping. I am saying that for the first time ever, I see their side. At the very least, split tunneling is going to be super common. For people that don't know what split tunneling is, it's where you choose 2 survivors and you tunnel them out at the same time and you don't worry about the other 2. It's very common to ignore the obsession till the very end in forms of split tunneling. But again, this is a party game. This is not some hyper competitive pro scene game. But in the state it's currently in, it feels like it is, and it's taking all the fun out of it for a lot of people. Survivors are getting camped and tunneled more. Killers are having to play for money every single game to just secure kills. And if they don't want to do that and they just want to play casual, they're going to have to put on way too many gen regression perks. Again, this gameplay isn't the best gameplay to be watching as I'm talking about this because I'm only running Pain Res and Deadlock, but Dredge is also just really good at full map pressure if you know how to play him right. That's the other thing, is we're going to see a large increase in base kit pressure killers, aka Plague, forcing you to stop and cleanse. Legion, forcing you to stop and mend. Killers like that. I'm telling you, we're going to see more and more of them. We've had this problem forever of gen rushing is countered by gen kicking, and gen kicking is countered by gen rushing. So we're in this loop where the snake is biting its own tail. There is no solution to this problem unless you get rid of both of the problems. What does that look like? It looks like another perk balance. It looks like some kind of base kit killer buff. And again, don't get me wrong, killer has been the strongest point of this game for a long time until swiffing became a lot sweatier. But for quite a few years, killer was the problem. Early DBD was survivor sided with old toolboxes and infinites and no bloodlust and stuff like that. So it's gonna look like something like that, where some kind of base kit mechanic gets added to killer to even things out. Because again, you can preach all you want that this game has been killer sided for so long, which is true. But it is so lopsided right now. Because before, at least Swifts were stronger than killers. So you could grab some friends, hop on a Discord call, and still play to have fun. Not just get shit on by every killer. And just solo queue was the problem. But now, since solo queue is stronger, killer is just the problem as a whole. Killer doesn't sit in the middle of solo queue and swiffing anymore. It sits at the bottom. Recently, I have been getting out of almost every survivor game I've played. I take 1 or 2 chases, I do 1 or 2 gens. It's very standard. It involves like no thought, and it's kind of a bummer. I actually saw quite a few comments on my last video talking about this, saying they miss having less intel because it was more fun. Now I have to run a full aura reading build as killer to get the same intel that survivors are getting. Should killer have the same amount of intel as survivors? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is they have a lot of base kit buffs. And they needed some of them, but they truly did not need others. Overall, I'm excited to see what behavior does. We know they're kind of notorious for taking their sweet fucking time making changes, so maybe a base kit killer buff isn't going to happen for like 6.5 months. But there is a perk rebalance coming, and I'm excited to see what they do with that. Also, to all the killer mains watching this, please stop complaining about Dead Hard. It's not a broken perk. It's not this busted perk you think it is. All it is a mind game. And to the survivor mains out there that think I sound like an entitled killer, I still think eruption should be nerfed to the floor. But I also think proof is a bit too strong in this current state of the game. Overall, I'm still not really sure how to feel because the survivor changes are good for quality of life, but they also tanked killer's quality of life. So it's kind of a win-lose. I'm hoping to see some kind of rebalancing for killer soon, maybe some kind of base kit buff. Whatever. Let me know in the comments what you think should happen, because I truly do want to know. And again, don't argue like little children in the comments. We're grown. We can have a discussion, okay? All right. Let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.
Talk to me, just took them all the dudes.